Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back in the video today, and the Houston Texans get the dub, the win against the Cowboys in Week 2 of the preseason. Let's be totally honest here. If it wasn't from this Houston Texans defense, the Texans would have lost 3-14 today. How clutch was this defense today? Too clutch. That's how clutch. We'll get into the defense in a minute. We're going to start with the offense. I mean, you can see the offense was just dry for the Houston Texans today. It wasn't finding anything. Besides that last drive, really. And that was it. So, QBs, in total of 3 quarterbacks, we had 131 passing yards. Yes, I know it's only 23 throws, 23 passes. That's going to go up to in the 30s in the regular season. So, and it's going to be only one quarterback, so that's why it's a lot different. The leader of passing yards was Davis Mills. He was 10 for 16, 115 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He was sacked once. Jeff Driscoll was only throwing 2 passes because he was the last quarterback, did not do much. Only thing Jeff Driscoll was doing was making QB draws, run plays as a quarterback, handing it off to his running backs, and trying to get the Texans a field on the board he led them to 2 field goals, I believe. But yeah. So he had 14 yards passing, so the one completion he had was a 14-yard completion. And Tyrod Taylor was 2 for 5. Now, Tyrod Taylor is kind of a different story because he only had 2 drives. Jeff Driscoll had a lot of drives, but the difference is just when Tyrod Taylor had his first drive, they were in the red zone. They were in the red zone. So because the defense forced a fumble on the Cowboys' first drive, and the Texans were in Dallas territory. So they scored a touchdown first drive, and when they were in the red zone, they were just handing the ball a lot off to Mark Ingram. So they really never ever had a time to throw the ball. Or they did it once in that drive where they scored a touchdown, and then he had one more drive and they punted the ball. So Tyrod Taylor, he has an excuse. Jeff Driscoll really doesn't. I'm not going to say Jeff Driscoll's not even that bad. They don't want him to throw the ball late in the game. He's just he's the unlucky quarterback that has to come in at the end of the game and doesn't throw a lot because it's a time where they let the backup running backs get shine and do not throw the football. So, yeah. Davis Mills was obviously the most entertaining quarterback of the Texans bunch today. I'm not going to really get into anything with the Cowboys quarterbacks, but yeah, Ben DiDucci was absolutely awful throwing 3 interceptions. But Cooper Rush was pretty nice throwing 2 touchdown passes. Rushing yards for the Texans. Mark Ingram did a fantastic job today. 7 carries. Most of those were in the first drive, if not a couple in the second drive. 24 yards. 1 touchdown. That was the first drive. His longest was 8 yards. And so just a first appearance by Mark Ingram was pretty decent. So I'd like to see it. So next was Jeff Driscoll. He's not a running back, but he is a quarterback. We talked about him just a second ago. He did a lot of QB draws, a lot of QB rush plays. 5 carries, 23 yards. His longest was 13. So he was showing he has some nice legs. I did like that. So I mean, but that's really all I saw from him. Scotty Phillips, he had a decent game. Wasn't as good as his last one, but 4 carries, 16 yards. His longest was 7. So that's all right. Buddy Howell had 5 carries, 13 yards. His longest was 4. Davis Mills, the quarterback, had 1 carry, 7 yards. His first ever QB draw run play of his career. His longest was 7 yards. And then Rex Burkhead, the former New England Patriot, makes his Texans debut. Only 1 carry, 4 yards, and yeah, that was pretty much it. As long as it was 4, of course. And Philip Lindsay, either the starting running back or the backup running back for this Texans roster, had 4 carries, 2 yards, and his longest was 3. So had a couple negative run plays. Now, the difference with this Texans team and last year, you look and you say, like, last year, look at the team. It was David Johnson, and then you got the backup running backs. Dontre Hillard, who? CJ Prosise, who? So there was just a lot of guys who just... But now you got, next to David Johnson, Philip Lindsay, Pro Bowler. Mark Ingram, Pro Bowler. Rex Burkhead, not Pro Bowler, but a very decent running back. And then you got guys like Scotty Phillips, who's actually pretty decent. So, yeah. Doris Jackson had 1 carry and literally did nothing on the carry. Team, as a rushing yards total, had 89. Their longest was 13. That was by Jeff Driscoll. Receiving. So our most receiving yards was by Chris Moore, 2 receptions, 33 yards. His longest was 26. He was targeted 2 times. Then Jordan Vesey, who had a decent game, 2 receptions, 30 yards. His longest was 18. I believe that was a pass by Davis Mills. He was targeted 3 times. QQQT, 2 receptions, 29 yards. His longest was 25, so a decent, very nice catch by QT. He was targeted 2 times. Alex Erickson had 2 receptions, 18 yards. His longest was 14, targeted 13 times. Better game than last one. Rex Burkhead had 2 receptions, 12 yards. His longest was 6, so he had 2 6-yard receptions, and he was targeted 2 times. So he had, 4 yards rushing game and 12 yards receiving, so 16 yards for Rex Burkhead in total. Brandon Cooks with 2 receptions, 10 yards. His longest was 6, targeted 3 times. Number 1 receiver on the Texans, but the thing is, he only played in the first drive. So, Brevin Jordan, 1 reception, 7 yards. He's targeted 2 times. David Johnson was targeted once. Chris Conley was targeted 3 times, and Taywan Taylor was targeted 1 time. All 3 of those guys I just mentioned did not have any receptions. Houston fumbles. Charles Omenihu with a fumble reception, picking up the football by a strip sack by Jacob Martin. So that was pretty nice. Terrence Burke with 8 tackles. Trenton Smith with 5. Garrett Wallow 5. Jaleel Johnson with 4 tackles. Charles Omenihu with 3 tackles and 2 sacks and a fumble reception. Shaq Lawson with 3 tackles. Shereen Carter with 3 tackles. DeMarcus Walker with 3 tackles. Kevin Pierre-Louis, 3 tackles. Also, DeMarcus Walker had a sack, by the way. Eric Murray, 3 tackles. Christian Kirksey, 2 tackles. Vernon Hargraves, 2 tackles. Vernon Hargraves, I just love seeing receivers eat him up, because that means that the whole Texans, Lovie Smith, Tim Kelly, and David Kelly, all those guys, they'll go look at film, and that will make them see why Vernon Hargraves does not need to be on this roster, because he is very bad. Coral Armstrong had 2 tackles, and Ross Blacklock had 2 for Trenton Smith, 2 for Nickerson, 2 for Novelli Hewitt. He also had a sack. I don't know why it doesn't say that. John Reed with 2 tackles, Jacob Martin with 1 tackle, and a strict sack fumble, as that was the sack. Roy Lopez with a tackle and a sack, so he gets another sack, and just love seeing that. Jordan Jenkins had 1 tackle. Derek Rivers had 1 tackle. Zach Cunningham had 1 tackle. Best defensive player on the Houston Texans. Only played the first drive because he has limited snaps. Jonathan Owens had 1 tackle. He did get in a collision with Lonnie Johnson, I believe. Malik Collins with 1 tackle. That 1 tackle he had was a great play to stop the run game for -3 yards. So that was a great energizing play for the Houston Texans. Cameron Grugier-Hill 1 tackle. And Bradley Robley or Lonnie Johnson had 0 tackles. Interceptions for the Houston Texans. Lonnie Johnson with an interception, 53 yards for the touchdown. Pick 6 for Lonnie Johnson. Terrence Brooks with an interception, 8 yards to end the game. That was a 2-minute drive. Down by 6 for the Cowboys. And DeGucci makes a mistake. Ben DeGucci makes a mistake. And Terrence Brooks eats him up and ends the game. Shereen Carter with an interception as well. He went only 5 yards. But yeah, good job by the Texans there. Next we got Houston Texans kick returns. Desmond King with another energized kick return. We saw that one from last week. Now he gets one for 29 yards. The only kick return for the Texans today. Punt returns, Desmond King again. Desmond King's punt return was 24 yards, and Alex Erickson had one for 9 yards. Kicking, Farron Barron was 2 for 2 with 100%. His longest was 38. He made both of his extra points, and he was a part of 8 points for the Houston Texans. So, I talked about the defense. I said that if it wasn't for the defense, that the Houston Texans wouldn't have any point. Would only have 3 points. Well, you take away Farron Barron too, Texans would lose 14-0. Farron Barron and the Houston Texans defense carried the Texans today. Cam Johnson was the guy who punting, did a great job. Punted 6 times, that's very bad. That proves you the offense was not very good today. But the defense was amazing, like I said. He punted 309 yards. Inside the 20 was 3 times. It was the same as last week. And his longest was 61 yards. That's very good. I know I have not talked about Dallas at all, but I just got to do this because he's a former Texan. Brian Engner, the punter for the Texans last year, he punted 5 times, 239 yards. Inside the 20-yard line 2 times, and his longest was 58. He was a decent punter last year, but I think Cam Johnson's going to be way better than him. So yeah, that's it for the video. Great win for the Texans, and I'm going to be back for another video for the Astros postgame in just a minute. But yeah, great win for the Texans to start the preseason off 2-0. Go Texans.